You have been all over the place doing some, last dance press here and there. You obviously were the voice for Michael Jordan in many of his big games. I wanted to know what you thought of this past 2 weeks of some former teammates coming out and sort of starting to question the series narrative and what Jordan kind of expressed and who he really was. I mean, you were there. What do you think of some of these new conflicting reports?
Well, I was there for all the games and for some of the interviews surrounding the games, but I wasn't there day to day. I wasn't in Chicago like the reporters who covered the team day to day at the practices and privy to all of that sort of stuff. And I don't think any one reporter was privy to all of it. A lot of it happened in their personal interactions. So Horace Grant can have his take. Scottie Pippen can have his take, and they're entitled to it. I thought that the series did a very good job with the abundant material they had. Nothing is 100% definitive. Nothing. Even the best of Ken Burns doesn't have every voice, every perspective on whatever subject he's covered. But when you look at The Last Dance, you realize that this is an excellent piece of work. It had elements of journalism and history, but mostly it was a wonderful bit of storytelling. And when something that is that widely seen, obviously the principals, those involved, are going to have an interest in how they're perceived. And they have every right, even though Horace Grant, for example, was interviewed for The Last Dance. But he has every right to try to further his perspective or clarify whatever he thinks has to be clarified in the aftermath.
You said you've been watching some of the old broadcasts in the past during pandemic. I wanted to know, you've been with so many incredible voices in the booth over the years as a partner, as a team. Now that you have revisited, do you feel like there's anyone that you gelled with the most?
I was very fortunate. I gelled with almost all my partners. Ahmad Rashad and I didn't call games together, but we worked in the studio on football. He was the guy on the sidelines and a very good sideline reporter, underrated when I was doing the basketball games. Ahmad and I always gelled personally and professionally. I got Bob Euchre from the very start. I knew how to set him up. I knew how to get out of his way. Doug Collins was a wonderful basketball analyst, in my opinion, the best on the NBA ever. And Doug and I, fell right in to a rhythm. And I'm happy to say that almost everybody I worked with, Tony Kubek in the 80s on the baseball game of the week, all of the people I've mentioned and more remain close friends, and I remain in contact with all of them. So that tells you what you need to know. But I wouldn't put anybody at the top of the list because it would slight too many others.